Perfect. Okay. All right, everyone. Welcome to today's WorkSmart Live, optimizing your team's home internet connection. Today we have our friends with us from Bigleaf Networks. And my name is Dawn Church. I'm WorkSmart's events manager. So thank you all so much for joining us. On this webinar today is also a longtime WorkSmart veteran, Marissa Wayman. She is our amazing marketing manager.
Hey,
And
everyone.
she's, I think, probably particularly excited because SD-WAN is one of her favorite topics to talk about.
That's true.
Yeah, and now we have this amazing home office version from Bigleaf. So we're really, really excited to talk about this topic today because we know a lot of people right now. We're hearing this from our team left and right. A lot of people are having some issues as we have predominantly shifted to home offices with internet connectivity, with everybody's kids at home and streaming and all of the additional video webinars. There's a lot of traffic kind of coming in and out. So we're going to talk about a few basic tips that everyone can follow. But the big thing that we're going to go over is this new SD-WAN for the home office service from Bigleaf Networks. Something that I feel particularly excited about, which we mentioned in the email, is that they have, they're offering some of these to essential verticals right now for free. And those are medical and education. And then there are also really great options for everyone else as well. So with that, I'd love to introduce you all to our reps from Bigleaf Networks. We have today with us Ryan and Matt. And, I'm sorry, one last thing. I forgot to do some quick housekeeping notes. If you have questions throughout this webinar, we would absolutely love for you to ask them. There is a Q&A feed at the bottom. Just type your questions into there and we'll make sure that we get to those. If you type stuff into the chat box, it kind of gets a little cluttered after a little while and we start to lose track of them. But if you put it in the Q&A, we've got you covered and we'll make sure that we answer those questions for you. So with that, now I'm going to pass it off to Ryan and Matt at Bigleaf.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and this is Ryan Beer from Bigleaf, and I'm the director of our channel sales for the East Coast. And we have on the line as well Matthew Brady, who is one of our sales engineers that's going to help us out today. So this home office offering the home office offering that we've put together is really been something that we've done in the past. We have a lot of partners and customers that have used our service in their homes for this kind of need, but never for a mandate like what's happened here in the past few weeks. So I think us trying to kind of roll this to the forefront and make this more of an actual service rather than just our standard offering that someone's using in their house is kind of the direction we're looking to take right now. And exactly what Dawn said, where it's being able to enable remote users to work from home without the worry of poor performance as other people are at home at the same time. So when you're trying to keep non-business web traffic, for example, such as streaming, video gaming, just less reliable traffic that you don't really need for your everyday business need, trying to keep those types of traffic types from impacting your business communications and applications. That's really what we're focused on. So kind of a positioning statement, if you will, a necessary upgrade of the internet for any office or remote user that's leveraging important applications. So when I say applications, I'm meaning things like your voice, your software as a service, your VPN that you're trying to access back to your business, remote desktop, Office 365, all of these business grade applications that more and more users have been using. And now that's really been kind of accelerated because of the events that have been happening in the last few weeks and some things like that. So that's really been interesting to see for us, where we've had success with this in the past in our standard offering with home users and remote users, but this has just been the accelerated times 10, obviously, because of what's going on. So our focus is to add intelligence to these residential internet connections so that people can use their business applications at the same time when other people are home. Yeah, and then if there are any questions, I'll kind of stop in between each slide just for a few seconds, and Dawn, you can just let me know if anything comes up. Okay. So really what we're kind of seeing here is an evolving market of what users are using, what businesses are kind of mandating their remote users use. There's a kind of a shift here in cloud application usage that we've been talking about for a long time. That's now like the acceleration of that, like I keep saying, is kind of what's pushing us in this direction, where there are many, many people now that are using VoIP in their home office. They're using Office 365. The VPN client that they're trying to access might have some issues over their internet connection. Those are just some of the things we're seeing in terms of the growth around VoIP and just different software applications being used. So the thought behind these applications is, okay, I can use these things now to make my home office feel like an enterprise. I can use enterprise-grade applications now at home. Those applications are still reliant on the internet. So unless that internet is optimized with something like a home office SD-WAN solution, that those applications are not going to be able to perform like everybody wants them to. And then obviously the growth of remote workers, what we've been talking about, where there was kind of an uptick in it, and if you look at a chart, there's been an uptick in remote workers every year since the different cloud applications have come out, and now I'm sure when that new graph comes out, that's going to be an even larger uptick. So I think that's where, you know, the thought around this is that growth is exploding right now, where everybody's being pushed in that direction, and many won't go back to working in a normal office scenario. We see that a lot of people are going to continue to work remote, maybe half the week or some things like that, when things do get back to our new normal that everybody will be in after this. So just being able to provide reliability for applications that people are using no matter where they're using those services. Yeah. And along with those, that brings new connectivity challenges, just like we've been talking about, whether it's a prioritization problem where Netflix is taking away bandwidth from a VoIP call, or if it's just general latency or packet loss on that connection that's affecting a VoIP call. There's different challenges that come out of this now of putting more and more applications onto the network along with the normal traffic that's being used every day. And I'm going to kind of dive into each one of these a little bit more. Okay. So growth of cloud technology and SaaS usage. SaaS being software as a service, and you're looking at things like remote desktop, different types of applications that are being used, and things like that. So what we're really trying to focus on is reliance on those internet-based phone calls and business-critical applications. Those are really what we're seeing most used by home office users now is voice quality problems, where we want to be able to prioritize that voice over less sensitive traffic that's coming down those circuits at the same time. And then we talked about the growth and explosion of remote workers. Obviously, this has been accelerating year over year, and with the things in today's current environment, that only going up now. So being able to ensure reliability of applications over those residential connections. And this being part of that as well. Unreliable internet connectivity affecting performance and communications of business applications. So voice and VPNs and those types of traffic that's being used every day from a home office scenario, we want to ensure that quality. Matthew, and if you have any thoughts, feel free to chime in as well. Sorry.
Hey, Ryan, this is Dawn, actually.
Yeah.
You can go back a second. I think we know the answer to, I think we have the answer to this question, but somebody asked what YOY meant. And does that just mean year over year?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, accelerating year over year. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm.
Hey, no, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think the stat that our team shared with us was that it was 44% growth of remote workers over the last 5 years, and then in that being accelerated now over the last 6 months too. So I think things where the trend of where things are going was already that direction, and now in the current environment, that only being pushed a little bit faster. So. We talk about the new connectivity challenges and kind of what that brings. So when you're thinking about when you're working from home and other things that are happening on your network or just unforeseen, problems that occur, I think some of the things we see are, multiple demands on those broadband connections, where it's someone using Netflix, someone trying to use a VoIP call, someone trying to stream YouTube, someone video games online. There's a lot of different things now that need to be seen as different traffic types, where a normal residential circuit cannot determine what's a VoIP call or what's a video game session. But when you put in a home office SD-WAN solution over that, that's exactly what we're doing, is saying, okay, we can see these different traffic types. We're going to make sure they're prioritized accordingly, so that when you're on the phone doing your mission critical VoIP call that's essential to your business, if someone's playing a video game or is on YouTube in the back, that's not going to degrade that phone call that you're on. So our service will, just the same as a business grade SD-WAN solution that's going to detect different application types. That's exactly what we're doing at the residence. So, and that's where that second point of residential, or I like to say unintelligent internet connections, because it doesn't have the intelligence of being able to determine what's a different type of traffic. So that's kind of what I was alluding to there. And then sometimes it could just be, you know, a consumer grade problem with a modem or something like that an ISP is providing. So there are different installation things we can go through when we need to and have those conversations. That part's very easy in terms of the home office router, just a basic router you see. But the difference is the software intelligence that's built into that to be able to see the different traffic types. And these challenges are kind of what drives these things that happen on the right. When you do have these challenges, you incur dropped phone calls, choppy video conferences, slow performance of applications because there's no prioritization to say that it needs to go above another type of traffic, and then just difficulty connecting to an office VPN. So that's a big point of what we're doing too. So all of that was kind of talking about the bad stuff. I know that's not great, but talking about what challenges can occur and different things that are somewhat not easy at a home office, usually if you don't have some sort of intelligence over your internet connections. And that's really what pushed us to the Bigleaf home office direction, what we've been talking about the entire time. We have our own cloud access network, and what that means is that you're getting direct peering for your cloud applications. So your VoIP, your Microsoft services, your Amazon services, any types of cloud applications you're using to run that business, you're now having direct peering where the cloud providers live in their data centers. We're peered with those providers over the public internet. So instead of just a general residential internet connection that just goes out to the public internet, now you have direct peering over that public internet with thousands of different cloud providers like you see here. So I'll go back in a second, but just wanted to jump to some of the cloud providers we're peered with. And so what that means is that goes back to the prioritization story around QoS, is that we can determine different traffic types because we're peered with these providers out in the cloud, out in their data centers where they live, and also our router working at your home office to detect these different traffic types. So both ends of the equation covered with QoS and prioritization over a residential internet connection, which is pretty powerful. And this is certainly not all of them, just some of the brand name ones. These provider lists change all the time because there's so many providers in these data centers, but they're just some of the major ones. Okay, I'll go back to that. So I was talking about the cloud access network where we have our site to cloud. And then you go down to your automated prioritization and circuit monitoring. That's exactly what I've been talking about before, where we're automating the QoS or the prioritization over that residential internet connection. So when you do get on a VoIP call, you're not having to worry, oh shoot, did I go set my policies right to make sure VoIP is prioritized? You don't have to worry about setting any policy. That is out of the box part of the service to be able to detect traffic types like VoIP over a video game or YouTube session, for example.
Hey Ryan, we had a question come in, and John, I'm going to read this out loud, but I also see your hand is raised. So if we answer this question and you still have questions and want to, we can unmute you. So the question is, how does it differentiate SSL VPN traffic and prioritize it versus normal SSL traffic? And then there was a clarification that was sent that says when the SSL VPN ends at home office, not at Azure or AWS destination.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, Matthew, go ahead. I know you got that one.
Yeah, so Bigleaf is going to look at the different traffic, and we can determine what would be a VPN or not. And that VPN is going to be prioritized above different like web application sessions. But we do have intelligence in our software to look and see what is potentially a SSL VPN or HTTPS traffic.
Yeah, so just let me know if that didn't answer the question, Dawn, and we can circle back to it. No problem.
I think we got it. I got an okay back.
Okay.
So I think we're good.
Okay, good. No worries. Yep, no problem. Yep. Yeah, so the second point, we talked about automated prioritization and circuit monitoring. So what we're doing, because we have our own data center network and then the router at the home office, we're able to ping in both directions 10 times a second. So we can see any type of degradation issue that's happening over that internet connection. So if there is packet loss or latency, or if the circuit went down completely, for example, we can send out proactive alerts to our users based on how those circuits are performing, how that circuit is performing. So that's a big piece of it too, is being able to monitor in the upload and download in both directions, upload and download 10 times a second to see any type of real-time issue. So automated prioritization over that circuit, so not having to worry about setting policies every time you decide to use a new type of application, and then monitoring those connections 10 times a second. That's the automated QoS piece. And then kind of the third piece, home office friendly, making that very easy. Very easy to deploy over a single circuit. We're seeing more people now being able to use a single circuit and then kind of a wireless backup or even a DSL connection if they want to get a couple. But in my home office, I use a single internet connection and a Bigleaf router, so that's no issue. Just understanding that if my circuit went down, I'd be down. You know, there's nothing my Bigleaf can do if my primary circuit, if my only internet connection goes down. So really the reason I use it in my home office is for that exact example. I use a little bit smaller of a bandwidth need because I'm only one user here, but being able to prioritize this VoIP call and this presentation over anything that's happening in the background, for example. Okay. Being able to do that over that single internet connection. Protected VPN traffic, just like Matthew talked about, so being able to enhance or optimize that VPN and ensure that reliability. And then easy home user setup. So it's when we get an order for a home user office or remote or a set of users that need 5 or 10 devices or something like that, we'll send out an onboarding link, gather some of that circuit, gather that circuit information, and then ship it out. And when it gets there, it's about a 5 to 10 minute self-install. You do need a separate Wi-Fi router if you don't have that today. So I already did have a separate Wi-Fi router. Some people have had to buy one for $50 or so off Best Buy, but that's very simple too if you don't have a separate Wi-Fi router. And then kind of the last point of that too is the full enterprise grade visibility into your home network now through the Bigleaf dashboard. So it's the same exact dashboard we use for our standard offering. It's very, very powerful to be able to go in and see exactly how much bulk data traffic is being used versus how much VoIP or Office 365 versus, you know, the Netflix streaming type. So it breaks it down by traffic classes, and you can see exactly what is being prioritized and how much of your bandwidth is being used on each traffic type. That visibility has been a key point for a lot of our users because they can see how much bandwidth they're using. We've had some people that have lowered their circuit costs at their house because now they can see they're not using 400 megs of download traffic like the circuit they had. Just a much more educated experience now in terms of what's going on.
Ryan, there is one other question that came in on
Sure.
the Q&A. And the question is, with business SD-WAN, it goes between the firewall and ISP. With home cable modems, where does the Bigleaf equipment go?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, Matthew, talk about that a little bit, where we sit in the network topology.
Yeah, sure. So similar to the Bigleaf business one, the Bigleaf router is going to go after the modem. So the modem will plug into the Bigleaf router, and then the Bigleaf is set, and there's another slide in a little bit here, but we have two different options. One is to do a NATed DHCP address, which means it'll give a private IP address to the user, or we can also give you an IP address that connects to a router if they have a need for an IP address there. But as far as how the Bigleaf goes, you would still have somewhat the same topology, where you would have the cable modem, then the Bigleaf router, and then the Bigleaf router actually doesn't do Wi-Fi, so you would have some sort of device to do Wi-Fi. So either a home router or an access point. Yeah, that's correct. So many of the home users use wireless from the cable modem. The optimizations would not be able to do that since it's in front of the Bigleaf instead of behind the Bigleaf. And so that's why we would need some sort of device like an access point or a home router firewall wireless combo to be able to do that wireless for the customer.
Cool. Thanks. Appreciate it, Matt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so kind of went through this. We talked about the cloud applications we peer with, and I think we need to talk about what the solution is bringing to you is that reliability for your business applications, just like we've been talking about. So from a support standpoint, we do have a support team. We have the hours listed where you'll be able to access a support team of network engineers to help troubleshoot anything that's going on within that home office network. But also if it's a part of a business offering, if it's we have some customers that have our standard business offering today that have moved a lot of users home, and we want to know that too, so we can help with discounted pricing, just some things like that, trials, and get things ramped up. I think Dawn mentioned the essential services vertical we have right now, or offering we have right now, that we're doing free service for healthcare and education customers, exactly that. So we want to be able to do that too. If there are any questions, just let us know too. I think that this is new for us in terms of the presentation and marketing, but it's not new for us in terms of the solution and technology that users have been using. So that's a good thing. I think, Dawn, y'all wanted to speak to some of the tips for the users and some things y'all are seeing too.
Yeah,
thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Dawn. Hey, everyone. Marissa here. We were really impressed by Bigleaf and their response to providing this technology, adapting it to a home environment, because we all like the idea of working remotely until you're actually at home and the internet starts to slow down and you're not familiar with the tools that you're using with. So, being able to have this conversation today, I think is really important. And what we wanted to offer in addition to that is just a couple of takeaways for your users who are not used to working remotely. And this is just kind of good practice when you're trying to think about conserving bandwidth. And so, everyone's got a lot of really good bandwidth at home nowadays. I mean, internet is great everywhere you go. But when you start to work from home and your behavior changes a little bit, it's important to remind folks, especially if they're working over something like a VPN connection, a remote desktop connection, where they're just sharing internet with kids and friends and things like that, is to just set good performance expectations. So a nice, just letting people know that if you're using different equipment, you're using your personal computer, which we don't recommend for security purposes. But if you have to use equipment that you're not used to using, recognize that it might be slower. Working from home is likely going to be slower. You're not in the office. So just reminding folks of that is helpful. We also, just, quick tidbits, we recommend closing browsers regularly, so that whole idea of using less is more. Listening to music offline. I know I'm a big proponent of listening to music while you're working, but if you're trying to optimize bandwidth for an important meeting that you're on, so that doing something like listening to music offline can help a lot. And then this is a big one for me. I'm currently coordinating screen time with a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and then another 39-year-old child. Letting them know like, hey, I'm going to be in meetings this afternoon, and make sure that, we don't have 8 Netflix accounts running at one time while also listening to Kids Bop. So just a couple of takeaways, pretty standard stuff that most people, have less windows. We talk about regularly, but I think that these are especially helpful when you're trying to change your workplace and your work habit.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, I think from a Bigleaf standpoint, like we were saying, from pricing and everything, we want to be able to work with the WorkSmart team. If y'all have any questions on pricing, feel free to follow up too. But I think the main takeaway from today is that this is a solution to be able to help a lot of users that are struggling with just general reliability right now. As they're working from home, we don't want a cost to be a big hold up here. If we need to provide some free service and trials, I mean, that's all stuff we want to be able to do. So we know it's a very, very interesting time for everyone, not something that we certainly anticipated, but we've had a lot of people using our service in this fashion in the past, just never a serious offering we thought would need to be here this soon. So the remote worker numbers are increasing dramatically. So if there are any questions, feel free to keep going. I apologize if I had some quality issues on my voice. I'm not sure why that would have happened, but just let me know if there are any questions.
We did have one question so far coming in through the feed, and that was just, are other nonprofits, for example, community service organizations, included in this like free 6 months offering, or is it just healthcare and services? And maybe you can speak to how to go about those things as well.
Yeah, so we have. Yeah, I'll make sure I send the link after to the essential services, because our team has told us that anybody feels that they are part of that they should just go ahead and apply. And our team will do the best they can to make judgments on what we consider essential services and what we don't and things like that. But if the question is, if you even think it's a question, then we want people to apply. We don't want people to just turn away from it at the beginning, because we want to help more than we can. So I'll make sure I get that information out after and over to our team.
Awesome. We got another one that came in. And feel free, I think this is the last slide, right, Ryan?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, okay. So if you're on the line, if you have questions, whether it's for Ryan or for us, feel free to submit those into the Q&A. We have some extra time and we're here to help. So we had another question come in that says, are there diagrams already drawn up by Bigleaf for the recommended setups based on users' home equipment? Modem with Wi-Fi, modem router Wi-Fi, and then a question says, does it work with double NAT? And I'm going to say real quick, I personally am ridiculously impressed. This is a very new service that seems to have popped up like within what, two weeks, right, Ryan? So I think a lot of this stuff is in process.
Yeah, yep. So about a week, yeah.
Yeah, so I can answer part of this then. So as far as recommended, we don't have any diagrams as of right now. But if you're worried about a double NAT between the modem and the Bigleaf router, the Bigleaf actually tunnels our traffic up to our Bigleaf POPs, or we call them Bigleaf gateway clusters. And so it would actually not create a double NAT in that scenario. Now, depending on what you're doing on the LAN side of the Bigleaf, like I said earlier, Bigleaf has an option to do a NATed DHCP, which we think most people are going to use. But if you do want to have an IP address that you can hand off to your customer's firewall or your firewall at home, if you have a consumer grade router firewall combo, then we can provide you with that IP address if you would like. But we believe most customers will just use a DHCP NATed.
And the diagrams and install guide are in the works. I have been told that from our team. So going as fast as we can.
Awesome. Any other questions from folks on the line? Like I said, either for Ryan and Matt or for Marissa and I, the WorkSmart team. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna take silence as like, hey, oh wait, there's one more. And yes, we can. I see two different questions that popped up at the same time. One is about pricing. So we can have your account managers send you information specifically about pricing for your organization. And then as far as like who to contact about this, your account managers are great. But Ryan, I think there's one more slide with our contact information. If you want to flip to
yes,
that.
I'm sorry.
That's
yeah,
okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so you can email either myself or Marissa if you have additional questions. If we can't answer them for you, we will definitely direct you to the right people who can. And while this is up here, I'm really excited. We have a bunch of upcoming events about remote work. So we're doing a full remote work series that's going to be weekly, every Thursday at 2 p.m. And each session is going to speak to, one of the like big trends that we're seeing in remote work. So the first one that we're starting with next week is a expert panel Q&A. So we've got experts from cybersecurity, experts from productivity and collaboration. We have an expert on team connection because personal connections are super important when we're all working remotely. And then some lovely folks from WorkSmart as well. And then after that, we've got a session specifically on collaboration and productivity. The following week, we're doing cybersecurity, and then we're going to really break down that personal connections. So you'll see some emails from us about like how to register for those things. And then lastly, we're doing these roundtable discussions, which we tested out last week and went really well with our account managers and service managers. So those teams are getting their clients together to talk about, what's kind of happening right now, because this is all evolving very quickly, some tips and tricks that we're seeing, and then how are we sharing some stories about how we're all implementing these things in our own offices. So when you see an email, you'll see an email from me probably tomorrow with registration link for all of those things. Cool. I think that's it. Marissa, you have anything else to add?
I do not. Just I'm excited about the upcoming events, and I hope that everyone will have an opportunity to join us.
Great. Alrighty, y'all. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Ryan and Matt, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. See you
Absolutely.
all
Yeah.
soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.